Hello, Dork Squad. I'm Jonathan Cormur, and you're listening to Dorktales Storytime, the podcast for kids and their pop culture-loving grown-ups.
It's a beautiful day for a story, adventure and glory, new friends and old ones too. It's an excellent day to get swept away in a tale, so let us regale you.
All right, I just need to move my favorite armchair over here by the fire, pour some hot chocolate, add a couple of marshmallows, a cozy blanket. There, perfect. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I'm so glad you made it. Today is a very special day because I'm celebrating the fact that we've told 100 original stories here in Once Upon a Time. Well, more like 99, but I have a very special tale I'd like to share today to celebrate all the adventures we've had together over the years. The inspiration for this story came from Grant, one of our listeners. Thanks, Grant. So, without further ado, our 100th story, Redge and the Radiant Root. Once upon a time, Redge was out for a walk and stumbled upon the Folktale Forest's resident Hedge Witch, Zinnia Fig. Perhaps I spread a little pinecone dust and eucalyptus bark. Oh, or maybe spreading leaves from a quaking aspen tree, and I can cast my shaking earth spell to rattle it out of the ground. I just don't know how to dig this up. Oh, Zinnia, I thought I heard someone. How are you Whoa! Whoa is correct, Reginald. What is this? You mean this giant cluster of leaves and curling vines coming up from the ground and towering over us? Yep. The ones that are glowing and glittering, almost as tall as a tree? Yep, yes. They also seem to be shifting into different shades of green every few moments. They are. Whoa! What is this? This is a radiant root. Now, Redge had never heard of radiant roots, and never hearing about something from the Folktale Forest was a new experience for him. He's used to knowing about everything, but the radiant root was a very rare and very magical plant. Zinnia Fig's Field Notes from the Folktale Forest says, "With its glowing and glittering leaves as large as a very big tree, radiant roots are a spectacular sight. Buried beneath the dirt is the root itself, a rainbow-colored plant that has many magical properties." According to Zinnia, the radiant root is capable of creating a feast of the imagination for not 5, not 10, but 100 creatures. Now, you might be wondering what that means. Well, Redge was wondering too. Whatever does feast for the imagination mean? It sounds intriguing. You see, Reginald, anyone who joins a feast of the radiant root can imagine their favorite meal in all of the world, and that is what the root will become. Ooh, how magical! Yes, it is indeed. It makes for a marvelous dinner party. You can learn all about your friends and what meals bring them comfort, or are passed down from their family members, or that they think taste extra delicious. But first you have to dig it up. Indeed. And it's, massive? Yes, indeed. I was hoping to find a way to unearth the magical root and throw a festive feast for the residents of the Folktale Forest. But none of my Hedge Witch powers seem like they will work. When I was walking by, you said something about a tree and rattling the root out of the ground. That sounded promising. Ah, yes. I've collected leaves from quaking aspen trees. When the leaves are on the tree, the wind blows through and they all shimmer and shake and make a beautiful rattling sound. I was thinking of spreading the leaves on the ground, and using your Hedge Witch magic, I would draw out their rattling properties and make a quake. Yes, a small earthquake that I would shoot through the dirt to loosen the root. Very good, Reginald. Well, I think we ought to try it. Will you help me? Why, yes, of course. I've always wanted to train with our resident Hedge Witch. I even have a witch's hat for the occasion. Oh, and you also have some tap shoes, if I remember correctly. Why, of course I have tap shoes. Bring those as well. We will need to dance and make a ruckus to help the earth shake. Oh, and procure some cinnamon. Cinnamon? What is the cinnamon for? For the apple cider I'm brewing in my magical teapot, of course. Always have a tasty beverage on hand before casting a powerful spell. That's your first Hedge Witch lesson. Right, got it. I'll just shuffle off to Buffalo and be back lickety-split. So Redge ran off to get his tap shoes, cinnamon, and, of course, his Hedge Witch hat. When he returned to the root from his burrow, he helped Zinnia make a ring of leaves and twigs and practice the perfect tap moves to get the ground shaking. After a quick break from some fresh apple cider, delicious! The two hedgehogs began to cast their spell. Are you ready for the incantation? Tap shoes tied, witch hat on. I've stretched and learned my incantation. Ready to go. Then let us begin. Twist and stamp and move and shake. Wiggle your tail like a rattlesnake. Spread the leaves of the aspen tree. Make a quake that sets roots free. Flap and shuffle for change. Shake up this magic root so strange. When the roots out of the ground, we'll have good food to go around. Redge and Zinnia tapped and twirled and stamped and danced. The leaves sparkled and glowed and seemed to sway to their tune. The ground began to shake, and critters nearby could feel the earth move. But sadly, it wasn't enough. The radiant root didn't budge. Oh, bother. I agree. The root is as stuck in the ground as ever. I've been here all morning, and it hasn't budged. Zinnia? Yes, Reginald? You said the radiant root can feed 100 forest folk, right? Oh, easily. What if we gathered them for the feast right now? But the root is still in the ground. Maybe we need all of our friends to come together and help us, uproot our meal. Get a group together to finish the job. All 100 of us stamping and dancing might shake the ground just enough. You got it! And then, with a little help from my magic, we might be able to make the feast a reality after all. Oh, I love it! Me too! Let's get going. You're right, we mustn't delay. We have a lot of critters to conjure. With a new plan in place, Redge and Zinnia went off into the Folktale Forest and beyond. They used Zinnia's broom, made from the finest spring onions, to fly all around the land of Once Upon a Time, shouting about their dream of hosting a fanciful feast and asking for helping hands to make the dream come true. They found Little Red and Granny. La 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 la. To the radiant root we go. Woohoo! They went to Glimmer Pond and found the handy beaver named Glimmer herself, ready to help construct a solution. I'll grab my tools, don't you know, and drop some blueprints. Oh, marvelous! They went over to Big Bad's den and asked for the wolf's assistance.
We'll howl that root right out of the ground.
Hear, hear! They zoomed over to Legend Lake to gather some friends with mythic ideas, like Samuel Squatch.
Maybe I could use my bird song to keep spirits high.
And Lope, Jack A. Lope. My natural hopping skills and super spy technology will certainly be useful. They even gathered friends from the biggest city in Once Upon a Time, Litropia, like Redge's cousin Raj. Reporting for duty. And, of course, Redge sought out his best buddy. Who are we missing? Oh, I'm not sure. His very best friend in all the land. Let's see, we've got Shrimp the Seagull, Cinderella, and Rapunzel are here. Check, and check. Sherlock Nettlesby and Wabbitson sniffed out the clues and knew this event was happening before we even knocked on their door. His greatest and most helpful friend ever? Is that everyone? It might be everyone. It might be. Wait! I need to go get Jonathan. Oh, of course. Phew. And so, Redge came to knock on my door and brought me to the gathering crowd. Everyone stared in awe at the root's color-changing leaves, unsure of where to begin. But Redge climbed to the top of one of the leaves and called the crowd to attention. Critter folk, fairies, witches, and wanderers, thank you all for gathering here in the Folktale Forest today, on a day that will go down in Once Upon a Time history, a day where we all come together to use our magic and our skills for a most noble and worthy cause. A glorious feast with friends. And you know we love a good feast in these lands.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yes.
We have so many friends here today. Archie the Hedge Knight, Isabella the Bear, Lugo the Bat. Alice came by from Wonderland and even brought the Cheshire Cat. You may only see his smile, but trust me, he's there. Our tiniest friends from Scribbleton have come, and our most nocturnal ones too, like Hesper, the fairy of the evening star, and her moth companion Vesper. I mean, this is a star-studded affair. I'm so grateful to adventure with all of you every day, to hear all of your stories and see all of your wondrous magic come to life. This old land of Once Upon a Time is so special because of each of you, and I know we can work together once again, with all of our own strengths, spells, and specialities to make amazing things happen. So, get ready to shake your tail feathers and boogie this beauty out of the ground. Huzzah! Huzzah! And with that speech, a great buzzing magic filled the air of the Folktale Forest. The radiant roots seemed to reply to the crowd, glowing brighter than ever and showering all of us with sparkles. We all began whooping and hollering. Woo-hoo! The Branch Sisters, Once Upon a Time's most famous bird band, gathered all of the musicians of the forest. Redge's Band of Bremen, Olivia Crescendo, the opera-singing otter, and more. They all struck up a tune. The performers that came from Gotta Dance Theater in Litropia kicked off a choreographed number, led by the great choreographer, Bob Gossie. And a 5, a 6, a 7, and an 8. Jazz hands. And then everyone else followed along, singing and chanting and dancing around the radiant root.
Oh! We'll howl and dance and shake things up from the biggest bad wolf to the smallest pup.
La la la, round and round we go. we'll put on a spectacular show.
We'll sing our songs up to the sky.
And we'll flip and flap and make our magic fly.
Yes, Lugo. And when our song and dance is through, the root will know just what to do. For many minutes, we danced and sang until suddenly, the radiant root stopped shining altogether. The entire forest went quiet, and all was still. The critter folk and magic makers all looked to Zinnia and Redge in confusion. Zinnia? Yes, Reginald? Did it work? I'm not sure. I've never seen it. Oh! Just when they thought all hope was lost, the radiant root exploded with rainbow light. Ooh! Ah! Ooh! Ah! Ooh! Ah! Everyone began cheering as the magnificent light spread around the clearing. But it didn't just shed its amazing light. Every piece of the land it touched grew chairs and tables made from vines, with dazzling displays of flowers, twigs, and color-changing leaves. As the light passed over the folks in attendance, their clothes transformed into colorful attire fit for a feast. They were adorned in rainbow suits and dresses and hats, with more leaves curling from the brims. Well, don't we look snazzy? Come one and all, it's time for our feast of the imagination! Huzzah! Huzzah! So, Reg, what meal will be on your plate? Oh, I have so many favorites. I can't wait to see. I am certain there will be free-fallen fruit pie. That's one recipe that's been passed down in my family for ages. Oh, yum. What about you, Zinnia? One of my favorite Hedge Witch recipes is rosemary bread, with rosemary freshly picked from my garden, a spot of cheese, and a sprinkle of honey from my beehives. Ooh, that sounds delicious. You should try it. As a thank you for helping me throw this marvelous party, and congratulations on completing your first, very eventful day of Hedge Witch training. Oh, I would love to. Come now, Reginald, let's all sit together. And so, all of the Once Upon a Time residents laughed and ate, sang, and shared stories late into the night, when the only light in the clearing that remained was the glowing of the leaves on the table and tucked into our hats. One by one, all of the guests returned home, still talking and laughing about the day's festivities. Reg whistled a happy tune as we waved to Zinnia Fig, who soared away on her spring onion broom, and the two of us walked home together. What a magnificent day it was, wasn't it, Jonathan? The best. You were right, Reg. Why, of course I was. Wait, what was I right about? This day will definitely go down in the Once Upon a Time history books. Oh, yes. Well, I do hope so. I hope we all remember it forever. And we did. We would always remember the radiant root and the great big song and dance that shook it out of the ground. We would remember Reg and Zinnia soaring overhead and calling out for help, gathering all of us under the sparkling light. We would remember how spiffy everyone looked in their rainbow clothes and fantastical hats. And most importantly, the stories we shared over our grand feast would stay in our hearts forever. The end. So there you have it, our 100th story. And a fitting one, I think. Thank you for listening and being such a big and beautiful part of our world. You, the listeners, make the most magical of magics happen. And we're so grateful to be on this wild, wonderful adventure together. Here's to the next 100 in the land of Once Upon a Time. This has been a John and Character production. This story was written by Molly Murphy and performed by Jonathan Cormur. Sound recording and production by Jermaine Hamilton at Hamilton Sound Studios. Reach out to us on Instagram or email us at dorktalestorytime@gmail.com. Find links in the show notes or go to dorktalestorytime.com. Now, go be the hero of your own story, and we'll see you next Once Upon a Time.